G'day guys, it's Stuart here from Ferguson Group Media with another edition of If I Were A, and today we're going to talk about if I were a gym, or if I was a gym, that would be interesting. If I were a gym, or probably equally if I were a personal trainer, how would I be surviving the COVID-19 world? We're probably a little late here because I feel like we're on the back end of that anyway and things are starting to open up. So probably more now about if I were a, what am I going to do on the back end of COVID-19, and how we would market a personal training business or a local gym coming out of this. So from personal experience, I'm a gym junkie, but certainly during COVID-19, I've suffered for a lack of things to do and workouts and stuff like that. Not because they're not available, but probably just because I've enjoyed a couple of probably 4 weeks off to recover from some niggling injuries that I had from a long period of training for a couple of years doing weights. But now out of this, I'm going to be looking to get back into it, and I'm not going to be the only one doing that. So the first thing I would be doing is probably offering to start off with a free reintroduction program. So obviously understanding that the program writing side of personal training is probably the most time consuming outside of actually doing the training itself. There are some programs available that help it, but to get your audience re-engaged and back into it, I'd be doing some sort of 4-week small reintroduction challenge where you get people to start getting back into training, because it's going to be a change of routine for a lot of people again because they've been at home. There'll be some people who will now be at home full time because they're able to work remotely. So your usual transition audience of, train in the morning or train at night is going to change, and you'll probably find that early morning and late afternoon peaks at the gym are going to have flattened a little bit as people are able to work from home and do things differently. So the first thing I'd be doing is producing content, and we talk about this every week when we do If I Were A, that your content needs to be entertaining or educational. Now in this case, I think that there's a lot more value to be provided, to be given by doing educational content in this space. So you've got people who haven't been training for a period of anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks, and their highest risk is now in terms of injuring themselves, because people will probably forget that they can't lift as much as they might have done when the gym shutdown happened, and they'll go back in and hurt themselves because they think they can pick up where they left off, or they might get soft tissue injuries or things like that just because they are out of shape. So you really should be producing, if it were me, content around preparing yourselves now to get back into training. So it might be things like stretching routines or basic at-home exercises like sit-ups or push-ups or any of those sorts of things that can start to reintroduce people back into doing that type of exercise, so that when they get to the gym, they're not hurting themselves. That's educational content that brings value to people without the expectation of signing up to a program or something like that. The other thing that I would be doing is putting out free programs. So I know they take time to write, but once you've got the structure of the program down, they don't generally tend to vary that much other than the exercises themselves. So, with my own programs, what I normally do is I have, working on a different section of your body each time you train, and sometimes the sections cross over. So you could structure a program for people for free to get that engagement, do a 4-week program so that they get some benefit out of it. And during that 4 weeks, you could record videos showing them the exercises to do, or how the exercises are performed, to grow engagement with that particular audience. It may then lead to you being able to monetize that customer if that's what you're after down the track once they've built a relationship with you. In terms of advertising, what I would be doing is focusing on segments. So you would have probably seen, I think it's Working Out with Joe, which exploded when everyone went into shutdown for kids doing exercises during the day. And there's a reason that worked, because it was easy and quick, and it gave parents a little bit of space while they were adjusting to educating from home. But the concept there works really well. So what I would be looking at is focusing on time poor individuals. And so I'm looking at executives, people who travel a lot, so have restricted space to potentially train, and providing them with daily exercises that they can do while they're traveling or while they're short on time to enable them to continue to be healthy and exercise while they're doing things that are normally outside of their routine. So I would then market it on LinkedIn. And again, albeit it's more expensive to market on LinkedIn because there is a floor in that marketplace. It's not like Facebook where it's an open marketplace and the floor is set by the number of participants. Even though the conversion cost is going to be a little bit higher for you on LinkedIn, it's going to work really well because of the audience that you're talking to, particularly if you can offer exercise and nutrition advice. I think that you do really well there to develop your business. If you are looking at LinkedIn or Instagram, I'd steer clear of putting up stuff on Instagram that shows off how good you look, because I don't know, I'm conflicted about whether or not that yes, it works, but what type of audience are you attracting? You're not really going to be attracting the type of audience that most trainers want. So what I would be doing if you're on Instagram or if you're on Facebook, which you should be on both, is to put up, again, educational content, but tailor the content to the audience you're looking to target. So let's say, for instance, there might be an audience in post-pregnancy exercise in terms of rebuilding abdominal muscle, which generally takes a pounding during pregnancies. So you might be able to provide tailored content to that audience, and then you can market it to that audience by creating the content and putting $5 or $10 behind it, targeting people who have given birth within the last 6 months or the last 12 months as a way to provide value to those people. And I think you'll find that if you provide that value, particularly if they're local, that you will end up getting a customer out of it. There's lots of other ideas. Obviously, there's plenty of people on the social channels in the fitness industry. So they're just a couple of ideas of what we would probably look at doing if we're trying to build a brand for somebody in that industry. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So if you are struggling for ideas, just have a look at what people are doing. But again, I do moderate, don't steal content, but certainly there's nothing wrong with copying content that works and putting your own twist or spin on it so that you can use it to promote your brand. So hopefully that's been helpful for you. If you've got any questions, Stuart@fergusongroupmedia.com. If it's brought you some value, we'd really appreciate it if you could tag somebody who should see this video. And yeah, we'll see you on the next edition of If I Were A.